What's up, everybody? Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you're able to hit the range at some point. This week on Sunday Gun Day, we're going to be taking a look at the Ruger Ar556 rifle, 16-inch. Reviews coming at you right after this. As always, I'll start off this video with a disclaimer. This gun does not come set up in this configuration from the factory. It comes with your standard 7-inch round handguard, your A2 style front sight post, 16-inch barrel with a flash hider, and nothing else. Everything else is bare bones AR-15. Bore you too much with the specs of this rifle. You can find all that information out online about it if you really want to know, but most people that shoot these rifles don't really care about specs. They want to hear about performance, so we'll go over that a little later. But just to start off, comes with your standard 1 1/8 twist 5.56 chambering. This is the 16-inch barrel, the standard Ruger Ar556. Comes with the proprietary Ruger flash hider that they use. I've changed that out. I'll go over that more in my setup at the end. It also does come with an A2 front sight post with the front sight included, and it does come with a Ruger branded flip up backup sight, which I've opted to take off. This is the standard pistol grip that comes on the rifle. It's again a Ruger branded product with an A2 grip style, just no finger nub on the front, which I do like. And then on the back, this is an aftermarket stock. It comes with a standard A2, or not A2, my bad, standard carbine style, M4 style stock on a 5-position buffer tube. As you can see, I have this rifle outfitted with an optic on the top, magnified optic to be more specific. And that right there should speak volumes about the accuracy, so that's the first topic that we'll go over here. I took this rifle during testing out to 300 yards. I did 100, 200, and 300. I like to do the paper bowl test. This gives you a good reference. I don't care to use the fancy shooting targets, but if you put that up there or down here, that's all the accuracy you'll ever need out of a rifle. So this is the 100 yard target. As you can see, sub MOA, the top one I did pull. I could tell right as I let it go that that was a bad shot. So overall, I'd say that's about an inch, inch and a half group at 100 yards. Then at 200 yards, that's the grouping there. Spread out a little bit, give it more towards the 2.5, 3 inch at 200 yards. And then at 300 yards, I was able to rein it in, gave it a chance to cool off a little bit. And I brought it back down again, same thing around that 2 to 3 inch mark for groupings there. Overall, the accuracy of the Ar556 is absolutely phenomenal. Very, very high quality on the accuracy department. Alright, so let's talk reliability with the Ruger Ar556. Current round count on this rifle just crossed 10,000 rounds. I've put a lot of ammunition through this firearm. And like most things from Ruger, I've had no malfunctions, none at all. This thing has functioned flawlessly. With every round I've put through it, I've used XM193, M855, even some 77 grain Sierra Match Kings for a little bit longer shooting. I've had no problems with it at all, no jams, no hangups, and all of that was done after my modification to the gas block. I did that almost immediately after I bought the rifle to put on the longer handguard. So that's proved to be reliable enough. As always, I'll take a little bit of time here at the end of the review to go over how I have this rifle set up if you want to do something similar. We'll start from front to back. On the front, it does come with the standard Ruger flash hider. I've switched that out to a standard A2 bird cage, so it doesn't have any ports on the bottom like the Ruger does. I do most of my shooting with this rifle from the prone, so I don't like all the extra dust that Ruger kicks up. The A2 does a good job of keeping all that settled down when you're on a bipod. Next up, you'll see the biggest change to this rifle is the handguard. This is a 15-inch Mlok handguard by Radical Firearms. I really like their Mlok handguards. They're really high strength aluminum, really well built. All the slots are to spec. It's got enough heat dissipation that your hands don't get hot when you're holding it, even though it is low profile. It gives you the monolithic top rail as well, which is really nice. It seats up nice and solid onto the receiver. Overall, really fantastic handguard if you're in the market. They come in 7, 9, 10, 12, and 15, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Underneath that, I have I believe it's a 2-inch Mlok rail section, which I use to mount the Caldwell AR prone bipod with the pivot. All the bipods that I run have some kind of pivot function, so that when you're down in the prone, you can push up against it and give it some support, but you can also swing to manipulate any moving targets, or if you just need to change your point of aim. That's a really nice bipod. It's not too heavy. It doesn't make the gun too front heavy, although with the 15-inch and this, it does have some weight out front of it. Next thing back, the Ruger comes with a 30-round PMag, but doing shooting from a bipod, the 30-rounders tend to hit the ground, especially if you're kind of shooting uphill. So I switched that out for a Gen 3 20-rounder, so that way when your bipod's deployed, you can actually sit the rifle down and shoot uphill and not have any interference problems. Behind that's my optic. This is a Nikon Buckmaster Series 4 to 14 variable scope. It is second focal plane, so the reticle in here, which is a mil-dot reticle, is only accurate when you're on the power 12 power. So it's not my recommended scope, but I had one lying around from an old precision rifle build I did, so this rifle got that one. That's why it has the paint job on it. Doesn't match. On there I have some Vortex flip up covers on it. The rear one is the one that you can add your dope card to, but I choose not to do that. I run a data book for all my long range rifles. I believe this is quarter MOA adjustments with a mil-dot reticle, so that's not the best either. I usually like mils and mils, or MOA and MOA. This is different, but as long as you train with it and know how to use it, it's all right. The mount that I use for this scope, I believe, is a first generation Vortex AR mount. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head. There's no branding on it. I've had this thing for years sitting in the gun parts drawer that every gun owner seems to have. So I'm not sure of that mount, but it holds true. I have everything Loctited down. Haven't had any problems with my point of aim varying or anything, so I just keep running it. It works. If you happen to watch my review on the Ar556 pistol that came out not too long ago, you'll notice I said about using the Magpul slim grips. I like to use them on most of my AR platforms, and that is true, but the one exception is this rifle right here. Mainly because this rifle, I shoot 98% of the time with this from the prone. So when you're in the prone position, your hand naturally cants down anyway when you're bracing up. So the A2 grip style works better for that prone application because you're already in that natural angle. So actuating your safety and putting your finger in the proper position to get it with the pad for more precise shots, the A2 just lines up better. And that's why this rifle has stayed with that Ruger grip, because it gives you the A2 style and it doesn't have that annoying finger bump. I have bigger hands, so that finger bump really irritates me. So I don't run that on, I don't run the SL on this, I run the standard Ruger grip. On the bottom of the rifle here is the extended trigger guard. Common theme, you'll see a lot of my ARs have these. Most of them actually come from the factory. I believe this one came with the Ruger. It already had that on. If not, I like to run the BCMs or the Magpul extended trigger guards. Both of them are good. But like I've said in other reviews, the flat trigger guard on the ARs I've never had any problems with the exception of that little bit of irritation you'll get from the gap with the grips. But these extended ones tend to fill that in, so that's a big plus. And then last but not least, on the back of this rifle, I've changed out the stock for a B5 Systems Bravo stock. This is their midline stock. It's not the big shot mod with the huge cheek welds. It just gives you a little bit of extra, especially when using a scope. It gives you a consistent reference point, so every time you put your cheek down, you're already perfectly lined up with no shadowing in the optic. So I'm a big fan of that. I usually run it almost all the way out because this Nikon scope has really good eye relief, so I can keep my head back further. Usually I'll choke up a little more on my stocks for ARs, but with this one, shooting from the prone and with this scope, this one I will run a little bit further out. Alright, so final thoughts on the Ruger Ar556 rifle. Overall, I believe this gun has a purpose. It's done me very well. It's incredibly accurate, incredibly reliable. But I must say, now with the advent of pistol braces and those shorter rifles or handguns becoming more readily available, those have become my go-to AR-15 platform. We can sit here all day and have a discussion about muzzle velocity and effectiveness of the cartridge out of a 10.5 or 11.5 versus a 16, but I think the maneuverability and manipulation of the shorter guns far outweighs some of the very slight disadvantages you get from velocity. If you're 18 and if you're under 21 in general and you can't get the handguns yet, these are a nice option to get into an AR platform and start screwing around with them. But anymore, I highly opt for the pistols or even an SBR if you want to go that route and pay the government some money you shouldn't have to pay them. But that's just my 2 cents on it. But as you can see here, for a special purpose rifle or an SPR style setup with an optic and a bipod to be able to reach out and touch somebody if you have to, that's where I believe 16-inch guns really have a purpose. I don't think the advantages of an 18 or a 20 really outweigh some of the cost. I believe Ruger now has an MPR Ar556, which is an 18-inch barrel with the rifle length gas system. I've heard that that's a really good firearm and great for the SPR purpose, which I'm sure it is. The rifle length system does have its advantages, giving you that softer recoil impulse. This is a carbine length gas system, so it's only designed for your standard 7-inch handguards. So the recoil impulse is a little bit stronger, but I believe that helps you a lot more with reliability. I've run steel case through this, brass, and some crappy corrosive even that I found at a surplus store. And this thing has no problem with it. And I believe that's due to the carbine system and the carbine buffer. It gives you that sharper, almost over-gassed recoil impulse, but that improves the reliability vastly over a rifle length, which usually is more picky with ammo. But overall, I have to say, if you're in the market for a 16-inch gun, even in your standard carbine configuration, if you don't want to change out anything on it, the Ruger Ar556 is a phenomenal purchase. It'll do you well in any application that you want to throw at it. It'll run reliably, shoot accurately, and do everything you'll ever need it to do, and all at a price point that's well within the realm of most shooters out there, no matter how big or small your budget. This is a very good rifle, and I highly recommend it. If you see a good deal on one, don't hesitate to pick it up. Alright, and that wraps up this week's review of the Ar556 rifle by Ruger. Be sure to subscribe to Sunday Gun Day down below. Hit the big red button, it's really hard to miss. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If not, hit the other button. I don't really care. And as always, guys, remember, be informed and stay free. I'll catch you next week. Have a good one.